I've got a new mic. Sorry, mic died. All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be discussing the last bit of law that came into effect for HB6667. This took effect literally 11 days ago. It's more relevant to those of us that are instructors and teach the basic safety pistol course required by law. But it's something that you all should know about. And this is basically that now every time you take a pistol course, the PowerPoint concerning laws, storage, things like that are mandatory. They have to be included. All right. So July 1st, it took effect, and I'll kind of break it down for you. But first, if you want some awesome merch like this, the link is down below. And the best way you can support the channel outside of buying merch is just subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. Subscribe, obviously. Comment down below. Hit up those comments. It helps with that algorithm. And honestly, according to the analytics, which is on the back end, none of you get to see that. The vast majority of people that are watching this channel do not subscribe. And today happens to be the 11th of July, which is my birthday. And if you want to give me a birthday present, just subscribe to the channel. Let's knock it out of the park. Let's grow and become one of the biggest channels, especially here in the Northeast, because other gun tube channels pretty much cover, everything across the nation, or they're showing you things that you definitely can't own here in Connecticut because it's non-compliant. Yes, it looks cool, but it's one of those things where it looks great, but you'll never own it because you're stuck here in Connecticut. So I try to keep everything Connecticut compliant, so it's more relevant to you guys. So do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. All right, now let's break into it. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. So there are two main classes that are taught in the state of Connecticut. One is NRA. That is like the gold standard. Everybody teaches that because it's accepted for NRA. The NRA is accepted for Utah, Massachusetts, things like that. Some of those states don't accept the next one, which is USCCA. And I'm sure you've heard about USCCA. And you say what you want about them. Their curriculum and their training is accepted by the state and is pretty good and does a really good job of covering everything. So when they passed HB67, the criteria was laid forth for the laws and what we have to teach. The NRA promptly came out and said, we are not rewriting our curriculum for one state. So we all thought the NRA training was going to go away. USCCA had no problems coming out with a Connecticut supplement to go over the laws and things like that. So what happened with the NRA? Well, they knew they were going to screw a bunch of instructors. And SLFU came out and basically created their own PowerPoint that NRA instructors can use, and then sign an affidavit saying, hey, the instructor taught me these laws. They sign it, the student signs it, and that gets submitted with the pistol permit application, which is required now as of January 1st, or July 1st. Oh, I said January. However, if you took the class prior to July, right? Say you took it April, your certificate is still good, but some departments are giving people issue because they don't have that little affidavit saying they got the training in the Connecticut laws of storage and things like that. So be forewarned, if you haven't applied yet, you might run into that roadblock. A few departments have been doing that, and they shouldn't be doing that, but they are. Like one department in that law, these certificates from the NRA, USCCA, amongst others, are good for 2 years, even though there really is no date where they expire. The police, or the the police usually do 1 to 2 years. There was no state law governing that. So now there is, and it specifically says 2 years. Because, listen, they just assume you've forgotten everything if you wait, you take the class and you wait 6 years to apply. You don't remember anything. And it does make sense. I think it's BS, but it makes sense. I can see both arguments in this. So one in the department is telling the people that apply, like, hey, it's only good for a year. And they reach out to instructors, and the instructors are like, listen, no, it is good for 2 years. And like, show me in the law. So we pull up HB6667, and we're like, it's right here. It's page 66 for long guns and 69 for pistol permits. And the department just kind of ghosted everybody. So we even called the state and said, hey, state, is this right? And they're like, yeah, this is right. And the town is like, don't care. Don't care. So that's ongoing. So if you're running into problems, I'm sorry. All right, let's get into the PowerPoints for the law. Now, I have both from the state and USCCA. I would love to mirror it up somewhere, but these are pretty massive PDFs, and can't do that. So I will at least give you a link for the state. And if you're not a USCCA instructor, I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to get it. But let's open up USCCA's. Okay, so their first few slides really don't matter. It gives you like key topics. It's a lot of stuff for the instructors, Q&A stuff, things like that. So it goes, USCCA gives you a state snapshot. There's 3.6 million in the state population. We honor 0 states when it comes to other permits. Minimum age to have a concealed carry permit is 21. We have reciprocity with 27 other states, but it's not a guarantee. 13 attorneys in the USCCA network. If you need a good 2A lawyer, hit up the comments below. I know a few of them. There is a minimum of 100 USCCA certified instructors. I happen to be one of them. Connecticut, out of the 3.6 million people in our population, only 284,000 have gun permits. That's only a 7.9%. So the vast majority of the state don't have gun permits, and they tend to be, anti-gunners. And our permits are valid for 5 years. This is information we cover in class. Then they break down the application process, right? And if you already have your pistol permit, you know the application process is a nightmare. They do not make it easy. It's expensive, it's cumbersome, and they do different things to trip you up. My favorite one that they do is, if you go to SLFU's website, you can pull down the pistol permit application, but you have to start with your hometown. And your hometown also has that application with little add-ins each town requires. So we always recommend in class that ignore the state's website and go directly to your local PD's website. Because if you try to use that, you might miss a form your city requires, and then it's a great way they can deny you. And then you either have to go through the appeals process, or you have to wait 1 full year to reapply. And of course, one of the questions is, have you ever been denied? So there's that. I mean, it's some dirty tricks they play. They go into the live fire requirements, things like that. This is part of your application, and it's like, oh, you need to take a class, you need to do live fire, you need to do the multi-step process, and they break down your 60-day permit, things like that. And I'm going to compare this to the NRA. So I'm giving you guys just a real quick blow-by-blow of what's here. A lot of slides on breaking it down. And of course, one of the slides is like, hey, where do you go get your concealed carry? Well, you can either go to SLFU in Middletown off Country Club Road. It's right off I-91. It's really easy to get to. Or you can go to Connecticut State Police Troop E in Montville. It's off 395, like literally. It's on 395. Literally. I mean, you have to take little detour right there. So the only nice thing with that is when you're done, you can go hit up the casino if that's your thing. And of course, I always tell everybody, if you really hate yourself, Connecticut State Police Troop G in Bridgeport. So wear a bulletproof vest if you're going there. I hit the wrong button. It went away. So give me a second to get back to it. All right. More applying. So here's a big change. Issuing authority has 8 weeks to review your application and approve or deny your temporary permit. That is wrong. They now have 16 weeks. With the caveat of, this also took effect July 1st. If after 16 weeks your local PD has not gotten back to you with either an approval or a denial, you are allowed to bypass them, go to the state police, sign an affidavit saying that you tried to go through your local PD. The state themselves will run the background check on you and then issue you or deny you your permit. And that, of course, is going to be technically temporary until your town actually does their damn job. And I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't take that long to do these background checks. So a lot of towns have been caught where they do a background check within a couple of days, and then they just sit on it and let the time max out, which is pretty dirty if you ask me. Of course, it goes into, if you're denied, how you have 90 days to appeal the denial. And it goes into where you have to mail it, the email you have to appeal to, or the phone number. This is like a 3-year process because they really ensure that the Firearms Board, who's supposed to have 9 members on it, appointed by the governor, last time I heard it, only had 6. But they try to keep the docket full, so it's harder for you to get your permit. Right? They're not trying to make it a speedy process. And honestly, a lot of these dockets are people who just never heard back from their town.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dad. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
You're 1 year closer to dying, thank God.
Jesus Christ. That is so going on YouTube. Oh. Thanks. Guys are butt nuggets.
Okay. You guys can go back upstairs. I never. It was their fault. They're the ones who thought of it, not me.
Sure. I believe that.
I'd
buy that for $1.
You guys had Ron, brought the pink bunny suit up and then come down with it.
That would have been even funny.
No.
Let me try that.
No. I'm probably going to have to blur that part.
Can't see me flipping you off.
Yeah, I know. Well, there you go. Now you're entertained. See, I was in line. It is my birthday, so go ahead, subscribe to the channel. It goes into your renewal process, right? Permits are valid for 5 years, and it goes into how you have a 90-day window prior to the expiration of your permit to start the application process for your renewal. And then you also have 90 days on the back end where you can still carry, but you can't buy anything just because it does take a while to process these renewals. The state is moving toward, one, it's no longer in-person renewal. You can still do the mail-in renewal because they're supposed to send you the letter. It's not a guarantee. And it talks about this, and I explain that it's not a guarantee. SLFU might not send a letter out to you, especially if you move and you fail to update your address, which you have to do within 48 hours of moving. That being said, I don't trust them. I always set a calendar alert in my phone 90 days prior to when my permit to expire, so I can then log into that stupid little portal where you would renew it, right? Everyone understands the portal. If you don't, there's a whole video on it. It's how we all had to register our assault weapons according to the state. And then they promptly shut us out of our little gun registry where they have listed all of our firearms that we own, which I don't know who has access to it, but we don't have access to it anymore. So you'll only get the little icon to renew when you hit that 90-day mark. So there you go. But it breaks it all down. Talks about the renewals. Talks about change of address. You have 48 hours to call and let them know. They don't have to give you a new permit. Basically, you put a sticker on the back with your new address. They talk about lost or stolen permits, how you have to call and report the loss and the theft. Good luck with that. I hope they issue you a new one, but they can use, this as part of the suitability standard and say, nope, you're going to lose your permit. I'm just saying it's a possibility. It's not a guarantee. But, they do anything to pull those permits. Because then you have to go to the board, and that takes 3 years. So that's just less people out there buying guns, carrying guns, etc. All right. They're talking about supplemental firearm permits, open carry versus concealed carry. We know now, with the passage of this stupid law, open carry is illegal in the state of Connecticut as of October 1st, 2023. And I always ask people in my classes, have you ever seen anybody open carry in the state of Connecticut prior to this date? And the answer is no. So why did they make it illegal? Yeah, got me. They do have carve-outs where no person shall knowingly carry any firearm with the intent to display such firearm, except when you are in your own dwelling, your home, you're on your land that you lease or own, or you're on a place where you have permission, or you're in your place of business. Not where you're employed, but where you own that business. There's those little carve-outs. Of course, the range is in there. You can open carry at the range, so on and so forth. And then they break down pros and cons, lawful requests for a permit and ID. In the state of Connecticut, we are not required to tell the officers we have our guns. If they ask, we have to be truthful. So if you're pulled over, which you shouldn't be, obey the speed limits. Say you're pulled over. The cops are going to run your license plate. The license plate is connected to your driver's license, and the driver's license is connected to your pistol permit. So the cops already know that you have a permit. So when they approach your vehicle, they may ask if you are armed. You have to be honest. If you are not honest, it's going to go bad for you. All right? However, say they don't ask, but you do have your gun with you, and you do want to inform the officer that you do have your gun, because you want to be safe, and maybe you have to get your license or your registration or proof of insurance out of an area where you potentially could show your gun off to the officer unintentionally. We don't want the officer freaking out. That would not be good for him or us, him or her, or us, I should say. So they do recommend that you tell the officer, I do have a carry permit. It is in my wallet, wherever it is, right? It's in my wallet, it's in my purse, etc. And I'm carrying today in a holster on my right hip. Something along those lines. Basically, when the cop pulls you over, you roll the window down, do not look at the officer and be like, I have a gun. You're going to freak everybody out. I always tell everyone this. It's simple. If you're ever pulled over, the easiest way to inform the officer that you are currently carrying a firearm is when you're handing them your license, just put your permit with the license and hand it, and they're going to ask you if you're armed. All right? This way you're not freaking anybody out. Let's see, what else is there? They go into prohibited areas, because we have to explain that to people. All right? Basically, anywhere that has the no gun symbol. Technically, you're not supposed to have a gun there. Right now, if it's private property, you are not technically breaking the law, because there's no law saying that's illegal. However, the company or the private business, the private areas, basically saying, hey, we don't want your guns here. Okay, so you go in concealed carry, nobody knows, Not a big deal. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying what it is. If you're caught and they tell you to leave, you should leave. Otherwise, they will call the police, and then you will be trespassed, and then you are armed. Then they're going to throw a bunch of charges at you. So be aware of that. They go and break down that it's Class D felony to carry a firearm anywhere near a school. That includes the sidewalks. So remember that. Any of our legislative buildings, all right, we're talking about the state. So General Assembly, things like that. Don't carry a gun there. The courthouses, judicial branch bans the carrying of firearms in all our courthouses. State parks. You may not carry a firearm in a state park. Violating this provision is a felony in Connecticut. Bluff Point Coastal Reserve is not a state park, however, is treated as such. So you may not carry a firearm in Bluff Point Coastal Reserve. Anywhere in the town of Woodbridge, except roads, highways, and streets within the town. Everywhere else is off limits because Woodbridge, right? Welcome to Connecticut. It's the only town like that. Woodbridge, garbage. I feel bad for anyone that lives in Woodbridge. Airports. Carrying in the unsecure areas is totally okay in Connecticut. So you can go to Bradley, and we're going to use that one because that's one of the larger ones. You can go to Bradley, you can walk around baggage, around ticketing, you know, the donkeys there, the garage, all that stuff. You're not breaking any laws. It's only when you're trying to get past TSA, it becomes a sterile area, and you're breaking federal law at that point. You're going to go to jail, you're going to get arrested, TSA is going to be all over you like stink on poo. So remember that. That includes even if you're bringing like a stupid empty case that you didn't catch in a bag. Don't mix bags you travel with and bags you use for the range. I have 2 separate bags. I never cross-contaminate them. So, but in the state of Connecticut, it's okay to go to an airport with your concealed carry. So be careful. Just because it's legal, sometimes it's not smart. All right. Federal facilities. You cannot have your gun in federal facilities. All right. Like IRS, the post office, which I understand there's currently a lawsuit about post office and their property. But for right now, you cannot. Ranger stations and any other building in a federal park. And they talk about post office. All right, for that little jump that just happened, the microphone died. I had to run up and grab another microphone. So I'm going to back it up. Hopefully I don't repeat myself too much. Post offices. It's currently, there's cases against it, but you cannot carry anywhere in a post office, on their property, parking lots, etc. Now, non-prohibited areas, national parks. However, carrying a firearm is illegal if that federal park is also Connecticut state property. And just so you know, Connecticut does not have any federal parks that are not actually state property. So, nowhere to go. All right? Remember, any buildings in these federal parks are a prohibited area. All right, castle doctrine. Yes, Connecticut is a castle doctrine state. All right, but you do have a duty to retreat outside of one's home. So when you go into your house, you have castle doctrine. Shut your doors and lock your doors, because technically, the way you can read the law is if you say it's a beautiful day outside and you leave your front door open, because we all have those storm doors. So you leave your front door open and your storm door is unlocked and somebody just walks in. It can be argued, you left your front door open and that is inviting. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's can be read into the law that, hey, you invited because you left your door open. So get in the habit of shutting your door behind you and locking it. This way nobody can come in. Now, if they break a window, break down your door, things like that, castle doctrine. You do not have a duty to retreat from one's home or place of business. And that's got to be the business you own, not a business that you work at. All right? It goes into use of physical force in defense of a person. All right? It's got to be reasonable. Like a reasonable person believes that there's going to be great bodily harm or death as a result. That's why you're defending this third party. Defensive property. It clearly tells you there is no defensive property in the state of Connecticut. You cannot defend property. All right. So there's a rash of car break-ins in Connecticut, right? Even though King Lamont says crime is going down, it's not. We all know it's not. But say you wake up in the morning, you open up your curtains, you're sitting there drinking your coffee, and you see somebody rifling through your vehicle. They broke in, and they're going through it. You cannot defend property. So all you get to do is watch, drink your coffee, yell at them, and call the cops. All you can do. Do not leave your home and go out and confront these people. It does not work out in your favor. If it escalates, something goes wrong, and you defend yourself, you're going to jail, you don't have a leg to stand on, you're toast. So don't even do it, right? There is no immediate cause of great bodily harm or death to you as they're stealing your spare change out of your car. So don't even mess with that. And there's a couple of slides on use of force. And rights of employers, parking lots, etc., private businesses banning firearms, so on and so forth. Carrying under the influence. So, it is technically not illegal to have your concealed carry on you and consume libations or alcohol. As long as your blood level does not reach that of 0.08, which is obviously the legal intoxicated limit where you can't drive a car. Now, if you get too drunk, you can always Uber your ass home. Unfortunately, though, if you are drunk and you have your gun, you're screwed. You can't just leave your gun behind. You can't just Uber your gun home. So I always tell people, listen, you're going to drink, don't have your gun. Don't take anything that's going to affect your cognitive ability and have your gun on you. I don't care what you do at home. You do you, boo-boo. But don't mix them, all right? It is a Class B misdemeanor in Connecticut. It's punishable up to 6 months in jail, $1,000 fine. You are going to lose your permit, and you're never getting it back. Just so you know. All right? So, plus you got to look at the optics, guys. You go out, you got your concealed carry on you, you meet some friends at, say, a pool hall, right? Say you go to Yale Billiards or wherever. I don't know. You have one beer. Maybe you drink a Truly or something, right? A White Claw. You play a couple of games of pool. Done. You're walking through the parking lot back to your car. Somebody jumps you. They're trying to hurt you. You defend yourself. You shoot them. When the officers arrive, they have that scent of alcohol on your breath. How is that going to look? How is that going to look to a jury? And listen, I already gave you the stats on how many people have gun permits, right? Well, less than 8%. You really think you're going to get a jury of your peers in Connecticut? No, you're going to get a jury of 12 anti-gun people. You're going to be toast. They have more slides about carrying under the influence. It's simple. Just don't do it. All right, now let's talk about storage at home. All right. So we had Ethan's Law, and it basically read, summing it up, layman's terms, that if you had anyone under the age of 18 in your home, you had to lock up your gun, loaded or not. If you had a prohibited person in your home, you had to lock up your guns, loaded or not. The law changed. They basically took out that under 18 and prohibited person, and now the law pretty much just reads, if you are not in direct control of that firearm, you will lock it up whether it is loaded or not. So even if it's two adults in the home, both of you have gun permits. If you're not currently in control of that firearm, it's got to be locked up in a safe. So even if you're in your pajamas with a robe on, wear your gun belt, carry your gun around. Do something, right? And being locked up, remember, it's got to be like a reasonable person would believe this firearm is locked up. So just putting it in a drawer, that is not locking it up because you can just open the drawer. All right, remember, a reasonable person, and I haven't met many of those in Connecticut. And when it comes to firearms, none of them are reasonable. Vehicle storage. Don't leave your damn gun in the car. Make sure it's on your body. Take your gun with you. Now, for some reason, you have to leave your firearm behind. Spend the money. Get a safe installed in your gun that is not easily removable. Right now, by law, it doesn't even. You can buy one of those little metal safes. It doesn't even have to be tethered to anything. It's just got to be in there unlocked. But if that's all you can afford, tether it to something and hide it. All right, but what's it say? In Connecticut, no person shall store or keep a pistol or revolver in any motor vehicle that is unattended unless such a pistol or revolver is in a trunk, a locked safe, or a locked glove box. All right, and for the purposes of that subsection, the motor vehicle will be considered unattended if no person who is of 21 years of age is inside the vehicle. So basically what it's saying is, if you are in a vehicle with 3 other 20-year-olds, you leave your gun in the car, you run into the Quick Stop, 7-Eleven, whatever, just to buy a pack of gum, get a coffee, whatever you're doing in there. By law, your gun is in an unattended vehicle because nobody in that car is over 21. So there you go. Trunk. Remember I said trunk. Now, Connecticut has their own definition of trunk. A trunk is a fully enclosed and locked main storage or luggage compartment of a motor vehicle that is not accessible from the passenger compartment, or can be a lockbox or a toolbox or utility box for like a pickup truck. Now, a lot of vehicles today, the vast majority of them technically don't have trunks because you're able to access that compartment from the back seat of the vehicle by pulling the armrest down or the whole seat folds down. If that can happen in your car, that is not a trunk by law. And I'm just going to have the state's definition of a trunk. All right, so if you have a hatchback, that's not a trunk. A station wagon, that's not a trunk. SUV, you don't have a trunk. Right, and basically any compartment with a window, it's not a trunk. So, very specific. And then they break down your lost and stolen firearms. So, within 72 hours of discovering, or should discover, that your firearm is lost or stolen, it's basically missing, you have to call SLFU. Now, if you don't, and sometime down the road, that firearm turns up on a crime scene, obviously they know to come to you. It is supposed to be, by the letter of law, just a Class A misdemeanor for the first offense, punishable with a fine. However, they are going to revoke your permit at that point under suitability. Even though the law doesn't say they can, officers have that suitability standard that they can enforce, and they can pull your permit at any time. Every subsequent time after that, so you fail to report another one, then it's a Class C felony. Forget it. You're the first time it happens, you're toast. So keep track of your guns, lock them up. All right. Where's the dystopian one? Here it is. Connecticut's red flag laws. All right. Now, it used to be state's attorney or 2 police officers can file a complaint for seizure for your ammunition and guns. All right, they file it with the courts. No due process, no facing your accuser, no, nothing. We changed the law. As of September 1st, 2021, a family member, social worker, healthcare worker, clergy, or just a concerned community member can notify the courts directly that you are in possession of firearms and you are a threat to yourself or others, and have your stuff confiscated. All right? Sounds very dystopian. And trust me, it is going to be abused. It already has been abused. One of my classes a couple of weeks ago, I had a woman in class. She was a traveling nurse. And one of the patients she was taking care of was a retired police officer. He had his permit, and he did have several firearms and ammunition. One of the CNAs showed up and saw that this gentleman had firearms. She felt uncomfortable. She reported him to the courts. The police showed up and confiscated his guns, all of his ammo, and revoked his permit. And the nurse actually got in trouble by the company she works for not doing the same thing earlier. Like, as soon as she knew he had firearms, she should have reported him. Even though he's done nothing wrong, no crime has been committed. Turn him in. Basically rat on him, right? Narc on him. Remember, even the federal government has, I think it went away, I'm not sure, I'd have to look into it, but for a while it was, if a veteran needed help from the VA on finances, not like, oh, you have too much debt, or whatever, like, you have trouble balancing your budget, paying your bills, and you have to have a fiduciary take care of all of that for you, right? It happens sometimes. You lost your Second Amendment. You got put into the system that made you ineligible to own guns, ammunition, or have a permit. So when you tried to buy something, it got flagged in the NICS system. So basically, if you had a little bit of trouble and you needed some help, you lost your Second Amendment right. Absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. All right? I know they were arguing about it for the longest time, like Matt Gaetz and all them, saying this is unconstitutional. I have not followed up on it, but, you know, these types of laws are what keep veterans and others from actually asking for help, because if you get the help, you can lose everything, you know? So it is what it is. All right? But remember now, a family member, social worker, healthcare worker, clergy, or just a concerned community member. So that being said, don't piss off your neighbors. Don't get that road rage. Basically, don't tell anybody you own guns, because, God forbid, your neighbors find out you have guns, you guys don't exactly get along, they can turn your ass in, even though you did nothing wrong. You'll never know it was them. You'll never face your accuser. You never get a day in court. You just lose everything. Goes into ammo restrictions, key topics that are covered in this lesson. Then there's at the very end, it's like, hey, are there any questions? So that is the USCCA's legal breakdown, all right? Some of the slides are repetitive, so on and so forth. Let's take a look at what the state issued. And when you get a chance, hit up the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. I know this is probably going to be a long-winded video. All right, here we go. This is directly, that's USCCA. I've got to find the Connecticut folder.
One eternity later.
Here's what SLFU put out. Title of it is 53 Training on Safe Storage of Firearms, Lawful Use of Firearms, and Lawful Carrying of Guns. Basic information, this PowerPoint, blah, 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 blah. Safe storage in the home. Connecticut General Statutes 29-37I. And it goes into no person shall store or keep a firearm on a premises under such persons, unless it's under a person's control, and it breaks it all down. Safe storage in a vehicle. Lawful use of a gun, or a firearm, right? Connecticut General Statute 53A-19. And it goes into using deadly force, and it's like 2 sentences. All right? And then there's another slide about that. Lawful carrying of a firearm in public. It's Connecticut General Statute 29-35. No person shall open carry. No person shall knowingly carry a firearm without a permit. Reasonable measure to conceal a firearm when carrying must be taken. Neither a fleeting glimpse of the firearm nor an imprint of the firearm through a person's clothing is a violation. However, the original part of that law was if they could see the imprint. If you had a fleeting glimpse, it was considered brandishing, and they could arrest you. That did not make it through committee. That quickly got crushed by Craig Fishbein. He definitely called that BS out. It was like not having his hope. He and the Republicans took all that stuff out. Now, if you look at the original HB6667, the original law they wanted was like this big. Through the efforts of Republicans, mainly led by Fishbein, 60% of it got removed, and we got left with the 40%. That 40% is, of course, way too much. It's abhorrent. However, it could have been a lot worse. It also goes into other statutes concerning the issuance of your permit. It does not authorize the possession or carry of a pistol, at schools, things like that. Last slide, legal updates. Firearm laws are often very in-depth. If you have any questions, please seek legal advice. Don't listen. Your instructor is going to tell you what it is. You have questions, hook up with a two-way lawyer. There's a few good ones in the state. If you need one, hit up the comments below. Shoot me a private message. I know some good ones. All right, they're not cheap, but they're good. State and federal firearms laws are often changing and evolving, so it is important that you stay up to date. You can't be lazy, guys. You got to pay attention to these law changes. And you must follow all state and federal laws and regulations that pertain to purchasing, carrying, storage, and use of guns. And that is it. That is all the state tells you. I mean, literally it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 slides. 2 are just title pages. So there's your 9 slides. That's what the state said. Hey, that's good to go. USCCA, I'll pull it up right now. Outside of the title page and all that, there are so many slides. So I'm just going to count real quick. The pertinent ones. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 67. 67. I took out like the title and the instructor information, all that. But that's a lot more information than what SLFU put out. So I think USCCA is definitely giving you a lot more information. Plus, technically, you're not supposed to be teaching laws with NRA curriculum from the NRA. That's what they've said. USCCA, however, says, yep, teach these if you need to. So there's that. So that, if you haven't taken a class in a while, or you don't need to because you already have your permit, that's the stuff that now has to be taught in class. Not only do you have to go through your basic stuff, but this is all added in so we can break it down and tell you all about the laws and pretty much how many different ways the state and the police are going to shaft you once they get the chance. All right? If you like the video, please give it a like. All right? Don't hit the dislike because you don't like the subject matter. That will really screw up that algorithm. Just like it. If you don't like it for some reason, just move on. All right? Be the bigger person. Again, the merch store, the link is below. Tons of merch there. If you feel like I do, you will definitely want to express how you feel about SLFU or DESP, whatever you want to call it. But there it is. There's a few others in there too that I have not shown you yet, but they are available. You see them in the merch links. Biggest seller, of course, is guns and ammo because America runs on guns and ammo. So, all right, that's pretty much all I have for you this video. I am going to go enjoy the rest of my birthday with my family, and I will see all of you in the next video.